Hey, thanks for checking out Sniglet's Garbage Pail Kid 101 video. In this video, I'm going to cover the basic Garbage Pail Kid history, as well as a few of the cards from the 80s that are unique to the series for various reasons. You'll hear me use a couple of acronyms in the video. OS stands for Old Series, which are the series 1 through 15 during the 80s. ANS, which is All New Series, which is from 2003 to current. And of course, GPK, which stands for Garbage Pail Kids. The Garbage Pail Kids were created in 1985 by Mark Newgarden and Art Spiegelman, but it's really John Pound and Tom Bunk who are the true Garbage Pail Kid godfathers. John Pound painted the first two series all by himself, and Tom Bunk did all the back cover art for each of the cards. There were a whole slew of other artists that worked on the GPK during the 80s, including the amazing Jay Lynch, but it's really John Pound and Tom Bunk's art that you see most often in the series than not. So now we're going to start to take a look at a couple of the cards from the 80s. This particular card was an actual wacky package that never made it into a wacky package series back in the 80s. The concept was made by Mark Newgarden, but the final art was done by John Pound. And it is from this card that Garbage Pail Kids were created as we know it today. Starting with OS1, Furry FRAN is the first Garbage Pail Kid to have a pink Garbage Pail Kid logo. CRANKY FRANKIE is actually the only Garbage Pail Kid to have a yellow background behind the Garbage Pail Kid logo. Starting with OS2, this particular card never actually made it into the series. I suppose it was found offensive to certain people. I mean, after all, it does appear to be a fetus in a jar. This is another unpublished Garbage Pail Kid. Topps typically doesn't publish Garbage Pail Kids that have to do with guns, to some extent sharp pointy objects, but some of those still got through. This one most definitely did not get through and was almost put into OS5, but never made it then either. The acetate proof for this card sold on eBay a couple years ago, and it was quite an epic auction. I believe it even got up into the thousands. So if you're able to find out exactly how much that went for, please feel free to share. SCHIZO is one of my favorite Garbage Pail Kid names. Unfortunately, because it's a medical condition, Topps didn't find it would be appropriate, so after the first print run, they changed the name to something that would be a little bit more socially acceptable, which was FRAN. Not quite as cool as SCHIZO, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Gorgeous George is the only Garbage Pail Kid to have a stacked name bar, and too, he looks really funny. I mean, just look at him. He's just chilling. Hothead Harvey is the first Garbage Pail Kid to actually interact with the Garbage Pail Kid logo. As you can see, his laser fire is going in front of it, and up until then, it had really not been messed with. It had been more of just kind of, what it is, a logo. Now, after this, there have been quite a few Garbage Pail Kids to interact with the logo itself, but Hothead Harvey is the first. Mouth Phil is the second and last Garbage Pail Kid to have a pink logo. During the 80s, Topps got involved in a lawsuit over the resemblance of Garbage Pail Kids to the Cabbage Patch Kids. They'd already made Old Series 4, and there were some names in there that had the potential to get them involved in other lawsuits, so they decided to change some names after the first print run. The first name that they had to change was Salvatore Dolly, which was after the Surrealist. Then they also had to change Reese's Pieces, which is a candy product. They had to change Woody Allen, which is after the actor. And then they had to change Crystal Gale, which is my favorite Garbage Pail Kid of all time, as she is an actual country singer. Upside Down Donald is the first Garbage Pail Kid to have an upside down name bar. Intense Pain is the only Garbage Pail Kid to have an item as a name bar, which is a Band-Aid. Pretty nice little touch. Alexander the Great is the first Garbage Pail Kid to have a number in the center of the card. It was later moved over to the right-hand corner and the numbers were made white. I suppose they did that because it was originally, if it had been placed in the right-hand corner, you wouldn't have been able to see it because of the black leg artwork, but why didn't they do that the first time? Blasted Billy 2 is not only a parody of the legendary Atom Bomb from OS1, but he's also the first Garbage Pail Kid to have his logo color changed from blue to purple, and the very next car in line, Bobby Booger, had the same exact thing done to him as well. Mixed Up Mick is another one of my favorites. He is the only Garbage Pail Kid to not technically have a Garbage Pail Kid logo on his card, but rather it's put on the product. I just simply love that card. Haley's Vomit is the first Garbage Pail Kid who has a first name that is big, but with the word that is bold. Typically it's vice versa, but Haley's Vomit is the first. This is an unpublished GPK done by Tom Bunk. It's obviously offensive, but man, this sure would have been an awesome GPK had it made the cut. This card is the most famous Garbage Pail Kid error card in the line, mainly because there were enough produced to where a good number of fans could get their hands on them, but still rare enough to bring in a couple hundred on eBay. If you'll notice, all the Garbage Pail Kids have a black border around the logo. Well, this card had a major printing press mistake, and there are quite a number of cards that do not have the black ink around the logo and are also missing the number in the upper right-hand corner. So if you ever run across these, you don't see a number or you don't see a black border around the Garbage Pail Kid logo, you need to grab that sucker up. This rather gruesome piece is also an unpublished. It was intended to be a 9th series poster, but it also was going to be the cover box art for the 10th series as well. It got kicked to the curb for various reasons. A, because it looks brutally violent. I mean, just look how evil those Garbage Pail Kids look, which is just superb to me. And then also the whole lawsuit situation was going down, so they couldn't have them look like Cabbage Patch Kids, and they're really looking like them here. These next 4 cards are unique to the series for their die cut variations. As you can see with Lunch Pail Gale, the die cut runs below the Peel Here sign and then through the wrist of the character. And then the next one runs through the Peel Here sign and then through the palm of the character. For Filler Up, you can see the die cut running below the Peel Here sign and then through the pea soup can. And then the variation runs through the Peel Here arrow and not through the pea soup can. FLAMIN Raymond is another pretty cool Garbage Pail Kid error card. If you'll look underneath the banner where the S is on the kids, there's just like a little gap in between the smoke and the edge of the banner. Well, the error has a little white box in that spot right there. So there's 2 384As, one without the box, one with the box to collect. Louie Kablooey is another Garbage Pail Kid that was unpublished for obvious reasons. A, he's dealing with the theme of suicide, and B, there's a gun involved. I'm particularly drawn to these kind of cards. I really love the edgy, or just hardcore Garbage Pail Kids, but there were actually quite a few suicide-themed Garbage Pail Kid with guns, but that never made the cut. But you most definitely won't find anything this edgy in today's ANS. These next 2 cards are also error variation cards. As you can see, Dental Hygiene has a hardly noticeable green bar at the bottom of the card, and then Vomited has 2 variations. On the upper part of the card there is a yellow blotch in the K, and in the very bottom there is a orange looking puddle. Vomited has a couple variations of this. If I'm not mistaken, there is 3 versions of each card. There are 3 459As and 3 459Bs, but I'm not too sure on that, so don't quote me. Ada Bomb's a really cool card. She's got a couple things going on here. She's actually the very last card of the OS during the 80s. She's also a goodbye parody, basically, to Atom Bomb. And she's also an error card. It's called the Eyelash Error, and I believe there's a couple variations of this error also. But the one that I have to show for you today is an eyelash that is in the upper right-hand corner of the card. So those are just some of the cards that I find really interesting during the OS era. There are a couple of more cards I'd like to mention before the end of this video, and that is Varicose Wayne. Varicose Wayne is an OS 10 character. He's a cool-looking kid, but what makes him really special is that Luis Diaz, who is an ANS artist, made a Garbage Pail Kid money of Varicose Wayne. It actually made it into the Miami News Times, was on the cover, and it's a really cool little piece, and I actually think one of our GPK UG members scored this final product. Well, that's it, guys. I'd just like to thank Baron Aaron for allowing me to use images and information from his site, as well as Nicodemus for allowing me to use images from his site, and Rustvan for being able to provide me the Ada Bomb eyelash error image. You can check out all of their links if you look in the video description, and I'll see you in the next video.